Charles here with Zana Labs. Today we're going to go over our project, which is going to be to do some pruning and rooting of some sweet pepper slash frying peppers that I have growing in my garden. The supplies will need some rooting compound. I've got 3 plants I want to clone, take cuttings from. So I want to take 3 from each one. So these are 9 cups here. Another thing we'll need is a sharp knife or a scissors. For the cups, you can use paper cups, solo cups, whatever you want. It's just for me, I had these styrofoam cups on hand, and they're easy to put drainage holes in. So you just take your knife and put some decent sized holes in them. So for a lot of what I'll be doing with these cups is leaving them in a shaded, protected area outside, and to get them started. And if it rains, you don't want the cups to all fill up with water and drown your plants. An important thing to do is to label your cups right away, because you'll forget, which I speak from experience, when you're taking your cuttings, things get messed up and you lose them. So I've got 3 different peppers out of, I'm growing probably 5 or 6 different kinds, but there's some that I really like that I'm going to take cuttings from. So I've got a Kung Pao hybrid. Kung Pao hybrid. I've also got Italian frying pepper. I think it's Jimmy Nordello, and I've got another much bigger pepper, fatter. The Nordellos will be more thin and long. This one gets almost as long, but then I'll show you those outside. But I'm just going to call that one a frying pepper. Another thing you'll want is some seed starting mix to put into your cups. I will label my cups and fill them up with some soil, and then we'll go take a look at the pepper plants. Here's my pepper bed. This is a 4-foot by 4-foot box. I've got all peppers growing in here, except for the back left corner is a big beef hybrid tomato plant, which is growing up here. I've got a number of different types of peppers growing in here, and I'm not going to clone all of them, just the ones that I really liked. These were all started around January 1st this year, 2013. It's about September 8th now. The ones that I really liked were these Italian frying peppers here. These grow nice and long, real good flavor, and a little bit of heat. Here's another look at those. There, that's how those turn out. These are heirloom, which I could just keep the seeds, but I'd rather get, instead of just a few plants started by seed, I want to clone it and then continue to clone the plant throughout the winter and get a large number of these going for next year. The other plant grows a pepper like this, and you can see it on this guy. We've got a number of these larger peppers. Here's some good looking ones here. This I know is a hybrid where I cannot take the seeds from it, and it's producing like crazy. I want to take a number of clones of it because I know it's also expensive. The other plant we want, the Kung Pao, you can see we've got a massive amount of these red peppers growing all over in here. Pick one. Grows a number of these like this, and these are really good for taking and making like a stir fry. I chop the end off, then just take a scissors, take little chop up to here, and then leave the seeds in here are a lot hotter. The rest is hot, definitely, but this is a little too much in the seeds, so I'll just take this much of it, chop it all up, and that's like just the amount of heat I want for one dish. So for yourself, it all depends what kind of flavor you like to have and what kind of heat. And this Kung Pao I've grown a number of different years, and I just can keep chopping these off all year. They keep filling up buckets and buckets of them. I've also done where I've chopped them up and put them in the food dehydrator, where you can then take a pinch of the dried peppers and add them to whatever other dishes you want. So we're going to take clones today of the Kung Pao hybrid, what I believe is the Jimmy Nordello frying peppers, and the other hybrid frying sweet pepper. So we'll get to that. All right, we're going to do some of our Jimmy Nordellos now. Taking a cutting of them, labeled them JN so I can keep them straight. My seed mix here is extremely dry, way too dry. The whole idea with cuttings is that they don't have a root system, so you got to really do something to get water in them. I'm gonna take and really get this soil here nice and wet. Really soak these up. Get a lot of this to soak up some water. Now, to take the cutting, we'll use our sharp knife here, and let's take like right here, you see there's a good one. Let's take a clip off of that. Now, this is far too much vegetation here. We're gonna trim this down some more. I'll try to show you here how we're doing it. Take and get rid of most of the leaves here. There should be enough. We don't want any flowers. We'll pop those off. Want it to make roots and leaves, not flowers. So we pinched that off, and here we've got our stem. I'm going to take my knife and give this more surface area. Like this. You can see that big gash there. Now I'll take my rooting hormone, dip that in there, and then take one of these guys and push that on down. This is actually a pepper that was forming on there. We don't want that. And then we'll get that to sit all in there and give that guy a little more water. Water at the end helps everything to sit down, all the soil to come in contact better with the root. If I see any other flowers and whatnot here, I'll pop them off. And some people will also take on the bigger leaves, and you can cut them in half to reduce the foliage. You don't want this to be covered with leaves because it absolutely doesn't have a root system to support a bunch of leaves. You've got to trim it down to just enough for it to get its start with pulling water up through that small, what's currently right now just a little cut. It's got to be able to pull up a little through that cut until it gets a few roots going, then it'll be just fine to go on its own. I'll take the other cuttings from this, and then we'll take a look at them when they're done, and I'll show you some of the placement of how I'll keep them in a nice area where they're not going to be hammered with sun or wind. There's our Jimmy Nordello cuttings we just did. Should work just fine. Now for the frying peppers. We'll get a few of them cut out. Soil. One might say at this point, oh, hot and sweet peppers, you can just put those in a pot and bring them right in. And while that's true, I've just haven't had the best success with that, because it seems like if I do grow them outside in a pot, I bring in not only the plant, but every insect that has been around them and their young ones. So I'm hoping here with taking cuttings and cloning that I don't get an infestation of spider mites or any other nasty that will wreak havoc in my grow room during the winter. So it's a bit of an experiment, and that's what I get enjoyment out of with gardening, is always trying something new and just seeing, hey, well, this works, this doesn't, because it always seems to surprise you just what really works for you. And the things you think that may work 100%, in theory, you try them and it just gives you nothing but grief. So it surprises you, keeps your mind working, and the end result is some nice exercise and some delicious food to eat. If you get something out of your garden, that is, which may or may not happen. Look for some nice branches here for cuttings, which is growing so many nice peppers on it as it is, that I don't want to do any damage to these delicious guys that are on here, because I want to eat them later. I'll take this guy down to maybe the 2 leaves, see if that works. And we'll go a little more surface area, little dip in the rooting hormone, and stick her in there. Now I'm doing 3 at a time, not because I think I'll need the 3. Once they get growing well indoors, you can just take more cuttings off the ones that are growing in there. I'm doing 3 because I know I'll get some failures. Some of them are just not going to take. I've got little rooting cubes that work better, but I wanted to give an example today of what would be a very inexpensive route where you can just take some soil from wherever, put it in some cups you probably already have lying around the house, and use tools you probably already have. With the rooting cubes, they work extremely well, but they're also extraordinarily expensive. I think the package I got was like $18, and if you're only doing excuse me, a few pepper plants, you'd end up being able to buy them the next year for less than that. So it's a little silly to spend $18 on rooting cubes. That stem did not feel very youthful. I'm a little worried about that one. I want to try to get some some new growth. Like this was much better. This new fresh growth will have many more of the hormones for new growth instead of being more woody like the one that I just took. So cut these guys off. This should be this is the consistency exactly that I'm looking for. It's younger. We'll go get a nice shred down this guy. Get more of the underbark exposed to the hormone, and then we will push that on in. There. And there's our cuttings from this this beautiful frying pepper plant. You can see it. Really, I've taken probably at least a few dozen off of this guy already, and they're just beautiful, and they are absolutely delicious. The level of heat, the flavor, I like putting olive oil on these with some salt and pepper, and then when I'm cooking chicken or beef on the grill, just put them on there, char them, make them into like a chipotle, and they get nice and soft, and you can eat them right along with the meat. And I'll have a whole meal just grilled chicken and then peppers that I've roasted on it as well. This is a fantastic pepper, one of my favorites of the year for sure. You can see them as they get towards a nice ripeness. They're not cracking like these jalapenos are doing like crazy. These are getting nice and red, but they end up all cracking and drying out. So I'm not going to waste my time doing cuttings of this because I don't want to grow them if they're going to be doing this. I'll grow different varieties. Now on to the kung pao peppers. One of the things you might be wondering about with the peppers is you see the head string on one of them, the regular frying peppers. I had to string up to support it because of the weight of the peppers. The Nordellos were the same way, but the kung paos, which are the tallest in the box, at about 3 or 4 feet tall, those easily supported their own weight. So if that's a concern and you're wondering about these varieties, something to keep in mind. I really like that I didn't have to support them. But there's, with the frying peppers, the bigger frying peppers, there's almost no way around it because that kind of weight, you're really going to have to do some effective pruning and growing them far in advance to build up a support structure, which you can do if you got the time. And with doing this over the winter, starting now in September, hopefully I'll have a good shot at sort of growing little pepper bonsai trees over the winter. That'll be nice and strong. I don't need this root to be this long. Cut that guy off, cut that shorter, and then when I started these around the first of the year, I had watched a number of different YouTubers do their pepper plants and have tremendous success pruning them heavily as they were growing them indoors before putting them out. Praxis, I think it's Praxis 55712, primarily gave just a wonderful example of how much success he had with doing that in his grow room over the winter. And then when he put them out, they had a tremendous structure of stem to support this great growth. And all of the peppers that I did this year around the 1st of the year, January 1st, and I grew them, started them that early because of that. I let them get maybe 18 to 24 inches tall, and then cut them in half, cut them on down, and it worked tremendous. And you'll see the stems on most of them are bigger than my thumb. I'll show you the Kung Pao, which is no support. The stem on this guy is fantastic. This is, let's do a little pruning here so you can see it better. You can see here my finger next to it. It's almost like a little tree trunk, and most of the others are about the same. This is also, I'm growing 2 Kung Pao in here right now. This is a habanero, which is just kind of sitting in the corner. And there you can see some of the others. The Nordello is actually one of the thinnest. You can see that with that stem it's got. It could also be because that one's in the middle, not quite getting as much sun. But these guys were in the back, and they're fantastic. See, for that's not falling over at all easily. Keeps on growing taller and taller, over 3 feet tall now, and it's just loaded with all these wonderful red, all those red, like pencil length, pencil width peppers are all Kung Pao hybrids. It's a lot more than I'll be able to eat. And here's the result from the cuttings. I did go through with my fingers and compress down this seedling mix. You could tell it was too light. It's going to need to have some pressure up against those cuttings. So I pushed them down. They've all been watered now. I'm going to put them in like a shoebox. You wouldn't leave them out here, for the wind would just blow them over on a rough day. And also, you do not want to put them in full sun. It's an overcast day, which is perfect for this and why I'm doing it today. So put them if you're going to keep them outside, put them in a shoebox or something else that'll keep them all standing up straight and keep them in the shade. Now here's the bin I'm going to use. You can get these at the dollar store for $1, and this will keep them from falling over, and I'll probably leave them out here outdoors for a little bit, maybe a couple days, but when I go out of town soon, I'll make sure they've got a lot of water and I'll bring them in. This area will get maybe a little sun in the late evening. The rest of the time it's next to the shed facing, I'm looking south now, so they'll be in the shade, nicely in the shade and protected from direct wind.